Thank you very much. If we direct our attention back to the P4, or the P4 memo that General McChrystal sent out, he said he had become aware, I'll quote him, of suspected reports that POTUS, the President of the United States, and the Secretary of the Army might include comments about Corporal Tillman's heroism and its approved Silver Star Medal in speeches currently being prepared, not knowing the specifics surrounding his death. So obviously the objective of that P4 was to get those specifics, the fact that there might have been a fratricidal investigation going on, to the appropriate people at the White House. General Abizaid, you were the primary addressee on the memo, and I think it was common, not uncommon, for the President to have direct conversations with a combatant commander such as yourself. So let me start with you. Did you take any steps to alert the White House that Corporal Tillman's death was suspected as friendly fire?
No, sir. I talked directly to the chairman.
Having that direct relationship with the President and knowing that it was specifically put in the P4 that, in fact, there was a concern that the President might make a statement about the conditions surrounding that event, why didn't you take it upon yourself to make sure that the White House was informed?
I did not take it upon myself to inform the White House directly, nor did I ever when I was in command. When something would come up in our normal meetings with the President, I would have a free-flowing conversation, but I usually communicated through the chairman or directly with the secretary.
And that's the case even when there's some immediacy in a memo like that indicating that the President might be in a position to make an embarrassing statement unless he was warned otherwise?
Well, first of all, I received the message late, which is clearly a problem within my own headquarters. When I received the message late, I talked to the chairman. I also saw that two other addressed General Brown and the Army. And after having talked to the chairman, it became clear to me that the chairman knew about it, and I presumed that the information flowed in Washington through Army channels, as I might have expected. Those assumptions were obviously incorrect.
Okay. Well, then, General Brown, what about you? Did you notify the White House about the possibility that Corporal Tillman was killed by his own unit after you saw that memo?
No, sir, I didn't.
And why didn't you do that, knowing that there was some immediacy to the situation?
Well, sir, on the first of all, on the message on the P4, I was an info addressee, which is not the primary addressee. And
if I can interrupt you a second, I understand that, but General Abizaid just said part of the reason he didn't do it was because you were also on the memo, so he must have expected that you would do something. That was ill-placed?
No, I don't think anybody would expect me to call the President of the United States based on a comment made on an info message where I was an info addressee.
Okay. Well, General Miles, at that time, you were the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. You were the principal military advisor to the President and the National Security Council and the Secretary of Defense. Did you advise the President or anyone at the White House that there was a fratricide investigation?
Bear in mind, again, I had not seen the P4. All I knew that there was potential for fratricide. There was an investigation ongoing. I do not recall, and I'm fairly certain I didn't talk to anybody at the White House about that.
Did anybody on your staff talk to anybody at the White House?
I can't tell you that. Okay. There are some things, by the way, that circulate in public affairs channels that could be like that, but I wasn't aware of that.
Who on your staff then would have been in that loop, the public affairs loop?
Well, my public affairs officer was in Captain Frank Thorpe, and I do remember talking to him about the potential of fratricide, and just say we got to be cautious here if we make any comments. We just got to bear that in mind.
And who would that person's contact at the White House be?
I don't know. He would not routinely ever talk to the White House. He would talk to the other services, public affairs officers. He would also talk to the Office of Secretary of Defense's public affairs folks. But he would. I can't imagine him ever talking to the White House, unless it was on some kind of conference call where he was included.
Right. Well, Secretary Rumsfeld, let me ask you the same question to close things out. Did you advise the President or anyone at the White House that there was evidence that Corporal Tillman was killed by friendly fire at any time?
I don't recall. Clearly, it would be logical that I would have, or someone in my office would have, after the information became readily available and the family was notified and it became a subject of interest, then one would want to make sure that the White House was aware of it. And there were daily calls back and forth between the National Security Council and the office.
General Myers indicated at one point that it was fairly common knowledge around this. So at that point in time, who in your office, who in the Secretary's office would have had the kind of contact with the National Security Council staff or the White House people on a subject like that?
There are multiple contacts each day, and they would happen through the military assistants, they would happen through the civilian assistants, they'd happen through the public affairs. General Myers and I would meet with the President at least once a week.
Setting aside you and General
Just a second, please. And let me just complete the thought. And in addition, we were in National Security Council meetings and principal committees meetings on a regular basis during the week, probably 5 times a week.
So you're telling me that neither you or General Myers, do you have any recollection of either of you gentlemen telling anybody? So who on your staff, who would you suggest we talk to on your staff that might have had contact with the White House on that?
Mr. Chairman, could we have regular order, please?
I just don't know, other than my response to you, as to the kinds of contacts that took place on a regular basis.
I agree. I wouldn't know who to say. I mean,
You don't know who made those contacts on a regular basis?
I don't know. Well, there was multiple people depending on the subject. So, I mean, it's, but on this subject, I wouldn't know of anybody.
Mr. Tierney, your time has expired.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Platt. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate